Hi, welcome everyone. All those who have been, part of the MTM journey for a while, and all those who have joined us for the first time. Welcome to Management Through Movies. Square Sequel. It's an initiative by Square Sequel that was started during the lockdown when we realized that we all use clips from movies to, any which ways in trainings to teach people things that we have, use it as examples for. So we thought, why not take it as a stream and learn lessons through movies, whether we're in the classroom or not. And that's where Management Through Movies came in. Square Sequel Consulting is the sponsor for Management Through Movies, along with the various sister concerns, Society of Design Thinking Professionals, Strengths Coaching, and Sequel Academy. So we welcome all of you. Thank you once again for joining. And over to you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zoya, and welcome all of you again. Let's quickly move forward. Now, what is that we're going to do? A quick check. You're able to hear me? You're able to see me, the screen? Yes, perfect. Now, what we're doing is, a disclaimer is that when we look at these movies, we put forth our point of view or our lens of how and what we can learn. That doesn't mean that you cannot add yours perspective to it. So that's the first part. Two, we look at it from the learning perspective. We these are not paid reviews. At the same time, it's up to you whether you want to watch those movies or not. Right. So this is just a disclaimer before we start. And today's movie is Devil Wears Prada. It's a 2006 movie. However, before I start talking about this movie, let me show you the trailer for this movie, right? And that's when then we'll move forward from here. Okay, here you go. I've started sharing the screen. Let me know if you can see the screen. Yes? Okay. Let me just play the trailer and then we'll move on. My message says screen is paused. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, but it's paused. I think you'll have to play it.
Can you see it now?
We can see a blank screen. You'll have to play the video.
Now?
So we can see the screen, a black screen. Yeah, now yes.
Miranda Priestley is the editor-in-chief of Runway.
So you don't read Runway?
No. Not to mention a legend.
And before today, you'd never heard of me?
No. You work a year for her, and you can get a job at any magazine you want.
You have no...
Oops. Sorry, I clicked somewhere. I want to put the screen, big screen. Give me a sec. Because I'm trying to put a full screen and it goes into a pause mode. Give me a second. It's
No style.
Let me start sharing the screen again. Can you see the full screen now? And the visual?
Yeah,
It's paused.
yeah, it's not full screen though.
Miranda is the editor-in-chief of Runway.
Were you able to see the trailer? Okay, let me do it in a shorter version. Let me do it in a shorter version itself without getting into the enlarged. Let's see. Anand, could you confirm? What can you see now?
Yeah. I think once you play, yeah. Yes.
Miranda Priestley is the editor-in-chief of Runway.
So you don't read Runway?
No. Not to mention a legend.
And before today, you'd never heard of me?
No. You work a year for her, and you can get a job at any magazine you want.
You have no style or sense of fashion? No. That wasn't a question.
You got a job at a fashion magazine? What was it, a phone interview?
Who is that? Are we doing a before and after piece I don't know about? in the world of high fashion.
There you are, Emily.
Actually, it's Andy. My name is Andy.
A million girls would kill for this job.
Is there some reason that my coffee isn't here? Did she go to Rwanda for the beans or something?
Where so much is at stake.
I need 10 or 15 skirts.
Goodbye!
Hello? Where are my eggs? Lingerie.
She is vicious.
Andy Sachs is about to discover
She hates me, Nigel. There's a way that you can help me.
Little Crisco and some fishing line, and we're in business.
it's not just about what you wear.
What do you think?
Andy, you look so chic.
You look so thin.
Do I? Just one stomach flew away from my goal weight.
It's about who you are.
Nate.
I got it.
Let me talk to her.
No, that thing.
Wears Prada.
Well, it's pretty interesting when you look at it per se. And I have myself watched it a couple of times. It's one of my favorites. Now, having said that, let me start sharing my presentation, which I put together for this session, and then we'll move forward. Okay, so here it is. Now, typically, so if you see this movie, this is actually based on a novel written by Lauren Wisberger. Now, she herself worked as a personal assistant to Anna Wintour, the editor of the Vogue magazine. So a lot of people say that it is actually the story of Anna Wintour, but the movie doesn't claim it to be like that, right? So what the story is, this typically talks about a story of a very powerful fashion magazine editor with the character being played by Meryl Streep as Miranda Priestley, a powerful magazine editor, with Annie Hathaway as Andrea Sachs, a college graduate who goes to the New York City and lands a job as a Priestley co-assistant. Now, typically, she wanted to become a journalist. However, she could not land a job as a journalist. And that's how she got called in for the second assistant of the Miranda Priestley, the head of Runaway magazine. Now, Runaway is a fashion magazine and people actually look up to it. Initially, Andy fumbles with the job and she's perceived as somebody who doesn't have any sense of fashion or the way she dresses up. However, over a period of time, in one of the conversations when Miranda totally berates her in front of the entire team, that was actually a wake-up call for her. And she approaches Nigel, one of her colleagues, whom you saw in The Bald Man, you saw in the trailer as well. He's the art director at Runway, to know and to learn about the fashion industry. He really helps her to become stylish in terms of what to wear and so on and so forth. Now, with that change in the appearance and the commitment, Miranda slowly starts to give more and more responsibility to Andy. Now, she gradually outperforms all the expectations which Miranda has from her. And when the first assistant, Emily, she was actually working towards ensuring that she's able to go to the Paris Fashion Week. But eventually, Miranda selects Andy. Now, at that point of time, Emily is totally devastated, right? However, as a result of all this, the Annie Hathaway, the Andy, they had a breakup with her boyfriend. And in Paris, she comes to know that Miranda is also undergoing a divorce. And at that night, Nigel tells Andy that he has accepted a job as a creative director with the rising designer James Holt. Now, as she becomes really concerned when she also comes to know that Miranda is going to be replaced by somebody else, she desperately tried to reach Miranda. However, Miranda totally dismissed her. Later on at the lunch party on that day, Miranda announced Jacqueline as the new creative director to Holt, leaving Andy and Nigel in absolutely surprised state. And that's where, when both of them got into the car, she explained to Andy that she already knew the entire thing which was going on. And she had to really sacrifice Nigel to keep her own job. This totally gives a feeling of repulsion to Andy. And she says, no, this is not the way it should be. At that point of time, Miranda Priestley tells her that, look, this is what life is. Wake up, smell the coffee. And who doesn't want this kind of a life? And if you have to have this kind of a life, you have to make these kind of decisions. That was a wake-up call for Andy. She really abruptly leaves, even without saying goodbye to Miranda. And as the movie progresses, it also, the she also meets her ex-boyfriend, and they agree to stay in touch. On the same day, she has an interview with another New York publication company. The whole idea why Andy initially continued to work with Miranda was that if her stint at Runway was there, she can walk into any publication, any publishing house, and land a job because of the virtue of working with Miranda Priestley. That was the kind of power which she commanded. Now, as the movie shows that on the same day she had to go for an interview, she crossed paths again with Miranda. However, she did smile. Andy did smile at Miranda, but mm, Miranda eventually smiled at herself when she got into the car. And the editor who was taking the interview for Andy, he also got a ref check done from her previous employer, which was Runaway Magazine. At that point of time, he said, I got a fax from Miranda Priestley herself that Andy was the biggest disappointment till date of all the people she has worked with. However, if you do not hire her, you would be a stupid, you would be an idiot. So which means what we are, so this being the storyline and a very fast-paced one with a lot of glimmer and glitter of the fashion, right, and the fashion industry. Let's delve into what are some of the lessons which we can learn from here. Okay. Now, there are quite a few lessons. The first one being now this is very interesting. Miranda is somebody who is a very, very tough job. A very, very tough, more than a job, she's a very tough boss to manage. Right now, there could be two ways of looking at her. She's extremely disciplined. She doesn't take no at all. She wants her colleagues and people who reported to her to move mountains at her whims and fancies. Now, at this point of time, my question, or maybe one of the lens which we can look at Miranda Priestley's role is she an empowered woman? I'm sorry, or is she a psycho boss? I mean, so much so that 24/7, you have to ensure that you are taking her calls. In fact, there's a scene in the movie wherein Andy's father, she'd gone out on a dinner with her father, and the father said, "What's happening to you? You take calls all the time." And before he could finish that sentence, again another call comes in. Similarly, when she was having a conversation with her boyfriend, at that point of time also, the boyfriend ended up saying that, "What has happened to you? You don't even take my calls, and you are actually in a relationship." You must have seen in that trailer also. You are in a relationship with the person whose call you are taking. Now, the question here is, there's another beautiful comment by Andy, that if Miranda was a man, nobody have noticed all these things. But she being a woman, each and every move of hers comes under scrutiny. So this is a very interesting take here. Is she a psycho boss or an empowered woman who people actually look up to? Right. So that's something which a food for thought I want you to have. Who do you think you resonate with? Absolutely no nonsense person. Only work, work, work 24/7, because that becomes your identity. Or you are somebody, you are an empowered woman, you know who you are, you are an inspiration for so many people based on your choices. And there's another scene in the movie wherein she says that based on what is happening here in this room, the conversation, the kind of skirts we are selecting, the kind of belts we are selecting, based on this, you actually pick up what you want to wear in a retail store. So who do you think you resonate more with? So that's one thing which we can always look at. Second is, now this is pretty interesting. Now she's a very powerful woman. I mean, actually, when it's shown that, if you allow me to use this term, people literally shit bricks the moment she walks into the office. They actually hide, right? Now, as a leader, how do you make your presence felt? Is it by the coercive power that you can say anything to anybody, or it is through your actions? Now, in the entire movie, anywhere, you will not find Miranda Priestley raising her voice at any point of time. Now, that's pretty interesting. Now, in fact, it was actually asked to her in one of the interviews, and she this is where she disclosed that to play that particular role, I was truly inspired by different men. However, she never mentioned who the other men were. But in 2016, she did say that I looked up to Clint Eastwood, the way he used to, pronounce his dialogues. He would never ever raise his voice, and everyone has to lean in to listen, and automatically makes him the most powerful person in the room. Now, that's a pretty interesting way to look at it. In fact, if you ask me, I have been guilty of shouting at some of the people I work with. However, uh, look at this another interesting style. Talk very softly, and how do you ensure that people lean in, and that is how you make your presence felt. So the question to you is, who do you think inspires you more? Somebody who asserts the power, or somebody who creates that pull? That's another lesson which we can think of from this movie. Third, oh, this is pretty interesting. We all know this old saying which says work is worship. Now here, what has happened especially in the last couple of years is people used to talk about work-life balance. How do I manage my work? How do I manage my personal life? And post-COVID, uh, work-life balance has changed into life-work balance. The question here is, how many of us today are okay or ready to dance to the tunes of our bosses, wherein we do anything and everything based on their whims and fancies, right from managing their personal life to the professional life, everything. And some of the demands were actually atrocious, so much so that the movie talks about, the movie says that Miranda has twins, daughters, and the job of her assistant is to ensure that the unpublished copy of the next J.K. Rowling novel should be delivered to them as they are traveling in the train. And she actually did that as per the movie, right? So the question here is, I mean, and once she got stuck in Miami and there was a storm, and she calls Andy and said, I want you to make me fly from here. I have to be at the concert tomorrow morning, which is happening in New York for her daughters. But somehow, I mean, what can Andy do? She can't do anything. But eventually, Miranda actually holds her responsible that you are not able to make me fly. So the question is, in today's era of quiet quitting, wherein people are moving away from what they were doing to what they actually enjoy doing, right? Do you really love your job, or you're just doing a job because you have to do a job? People are talking about mental health. People are talking about psychological safety today. Looking at these terms and looking at the way it was pictured in the movie, it was shown in the movie, the question is, how many of us would eventually want that kind of a job, even though a million girls would kill for that job? So the question is, I mean, again, as I said, there are two perspectives to it. One who would say, yes, we have to go and all out and put 110% to whatever we do. Yes, of course. The second part is, yes, if work is important, so is my personal life. So that's another thought which we can look at from this movie. And this is one of my favorites, the dress and the address matters. Now, typically, if you see, I believe in this, and I live up to this. The way you feel is the way you behave, and the way you feel comes from the way you dress up. The way you dress up is the way you feel, is the way you actually end up behaving. And what typically this movie talks about is style is a key form of expression, and clothes are often seen as an armor, especially in a situation where you want to project confidence, right? So when you are eloquently dressed, when you are neatly dressed, you're actually not, it is not just clothes you're projecting. It's your confidence you're projecting. It is the way you carry yourself, right? So remember, fashion is fabulous, but at the same time, you are you. So in the pursuit of fashion, it should not happen that you start wearing something which don't go along with your personality. In fact, I really love the quote of Coco Chanel, wherein the quote is, I don't do fashion, I am the fashion. right? So the question here is, how many of us um, take that stride to say, yes, this is me, this is what I enjoy wearing, this is what I like wearing, and this is what I want you to be. But always remember another thing when you talk about dress, your dress should be such that you are appropriately dressed for the occasion. Otherwise, you will be termed as a misfit. Yeah. And don't dress for the position you have. Dress for the position you aspire to, dress for the position you want to have. Right. For example, let's say if you're a manager, you want to become a general manager. How would you dress up when you become a general manager? Start dressing that now. Start dressing that now. Chairman of Sony Corporation said it's better to stay in the smallest room of the biggest hotel than to stay in the biggest room of the smallest hotel. So this world is full of perceptions, and perception is a perceiver's reality. May or may not be a fact, but it is a perceiver's reality. Yeah. And now this interesting conversation, Andy got an amazing job. She was also able to go to the Paris Fashion Week. As I said earlier, a job where million girls would actually kill to get that job. At the same time, when Andy realized that maybe this is not the life she wants to live, she had that confidence to say, okay, fine, let me start follow my calling. And it's okay to quit a great job if it's not working for you. I've seen people wherein they are like this, but I have also seen people, they start creating their calling based on what they have. So again, there is no right or wrong way to look at it, but it's okay to quit a great job if it is not working for you. And so one way is this. Second way is, can you make it work for you? It is if it is giving you everything what you're looking for. Yeah. And this is where, if you want, you can customize your calling. Overall, if you see, I really love the movie. Personally, it's one of my favorites. I've seen it multiple times. I don't mind seeing it again. I'll probably stop here, stop sharing my screen, and we can have some Q&A if anybody wants to share or ask anything. And just to add, the entire recording will also be put up in our YouTube channel, where you can actually refer to it. You can actually watch it again.
Thank you, Jimmy. I haven't watched this movie, though I'm a big fan of Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway, but I'm definitely going to watch it this weekend because already the trailer seems interesting.
It is. It is streaming on Hotstar, and if you are really keen to know more about the movie, you can always go to Wikipedia, and you will find a lot of interesting stories about this movie. For example, one of the key dilemmas which the casting director was facing was, do we show Meryl Streep, which is Miranda Priestley, hair? I mean, do we keep the hair white? It was a risk, but they eventually went ahead with that, and I think that added to her role.
Right.
And the way she acts, she was nominated to so many awards for this particular movie, right? And there are so many examples. I mean, so there are so many lessons. In fact, grooming is one area wherein we all can learn. Executive presence is another. Third is, how do we ensure that we are able to listen to our calling. Fourth is, how do we, sometimes we say it's okay to put job first. Sometimes we say, no, I have to put my personal life first. So it's quite a dilemma with which, if you go with that lens, it's a very interesting and very intriguing movie.
And
very fast paced, so it keeps you entertained.
and coming back to that first question, whether she can be perceived as a psycho boss or an empowered woman. So, sometimes what happens is a boss like Miranda can teach you a lot of things
Yes.
because you handle pressure, you handle crisis, and so many different things. But after all these years of experience, I would still call her a psycho boss.
Well, as I said, to each his own, right? But and there's always a two sides to the coin, and the amount of discipline she exhibits, the kind of meritocracy she believes in, the kind of expectations she puts, she ensures that people are able to stretch themselves and unlock their potential. That's one way to look at it.
Correct.
But the other way to look at it is, oh my God, she doesn't give a damn about who you are.
Yes. And I think it also depends from person to person, because probably what you will learn in 5 years, you will learn in 1 year with a boss like Miranda,
Yeah.
because of the speed at which he works and the demanding nature. But then again, if you have to attend calls all the time and be at work all the time, then that affects your. So it depends on from person to person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's a very interesting point. And again, there's no one answer to it.
Correct.
It again, how you look at it.
Right.
That's pretty interesting, Anand. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Anybody else? Any thoughts, comments? Cool. So no communication is also communication, looks like. So thank you so very much, all of you, for joining in. And as I said earlier, we will post this on our YouTube channel by the name Jimmy Jain. And you can watch this and yes, enjoy it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Jimmy.
Thank you, Zoya, for
Bye.
organizing everything. And see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.